Hey there, have you been wondering about selling higher priced items on eBay and what you should be thinking about? Well, this show, we're going to give you a quick and easy way to think about how to sell higher priced items for hopefully more money. So welcome to the Prof Sales YouTube channel. I'm Prof Sales.
And I'm Karin. Hello.
And on this channel, we talk about being a reseller, selling on eBay, being an entrepreneur, and your mindset as far as being a business person and so on, and lots of other subjects. And we try to come on and give you guys impactful content each and every day that we come on. We also have a live chat room going during this video, so you will hear us maybe talking to people who are in the chat. And of course, we hope that you will leave us a comment or question after this video is over so we can answer any questions you might have or react to any specific comments you wanted to make. We do our best to answer those, but we just wanted to give you the heads up on how it works here on the channel. In case you haven't been here before, we do want to hear from you, which is always cool to hear from new people.
Yeah, and the word of the week is share. So if you're in the middle of this live broadcast now, or maybe you're watching it later, consider sending this video to someone you love and enlighten them as well.
Someone you love. I like the way you said that. All right, so the topic for today is about higher priced items on eBay. And now, you know, selling a higher priced item on eBay, that's a subjective term. What's higher priced to one person is not going to be higher priced to the next person necessarily. So we're definitely going to have a difference of opinion on what a higher priced item is. But I would say that if you are traditionally selling an item at this level, and then you start selling items at this level or this level, well, those are higher price items. So it may just be higher priced in relation to what you normally sell. So you can always think about it that way. And I want to say too, it needs to be a significantly higher priced item for this sort of advice, I guess, to really make the most sense. What's significant? I don't know. It depends. I mean, if you're selling $10 items and you go up to $20 items, that's kind of significant. If you're selling $10 items and then you start selling $11 items, not quite as significant. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys to sort of figure out. But what do you think, Karin? When I say higher priced items, what comes to your mind?
What do you mean, like in relation to what we're doing?
Yeah, selling on eBay and so on.
Well, when we first started talking about this, to make it make sense in our world, you know, we sell a lot of jeans. Well, now we're also selling shoes. And those are, to me, higher priced items because the cost is
right
typically the same, but if not a little higher, but we're also charging more. Another thing that comes to mind is new with tags, like doing some retail arbitrage and investing more in new with tags items.
Right.
So that would be a step up for us as well. I mean, we do some of that right now anyway.
Well,
but as for comparison, that's my answer.
No,
and I'm sticking to it.
And that's great. I think the only thing I would add on to that is not usually when you sell higher. Now, I'm going to say that somebody say, oh, that's not always true. Usually when you're selling higher priced items, you a lot of times may have to pay a little more for them. So that's an important part of this equation too. And we're going to get to that in just a minute. I'm going to show you guys a little quick calculator I developed that might be able to help you figure out, you know, what's good to sell versus another item and so on.
The calculator is going to be so much fun because it was going to be standing in front of the whiteboard. But this way we can do it right here at the computer.
Because it's not only about the sales price, in my mind, for higher price items, it's also how much you pay. Obviously, if you're buying everything for $1 or $1.50 or $2, you probably don't really care too much about, you know, the cost of the item. It's not a huge amount of difference unless you're buying an incredible volume. But if you're buying $5 items and all of a sudden you're buying $10 items, that's a big step up. Like that's significant to most people. So we're going to talk about that, but I want to talk about 3 major points here. And one of them we're going to talk about for a little bit. We'll get there in a moment. But the first one is you have to understand your sourcing budget on some sort of monthly basis. You hopefully know, if you've been watching this channel, we've talked about this before, how much money you can spend in a given month. Now, you might know that by looking at your bank account. And you might say, well, I got $500 in my business account or my account I use for buying things, and I tend to buy $5 items. So 500 divided by 5 is roughly 100 items that you could buy. Now, that does not take into account if you have to take money out of that account for other reasons, like, living expenses to pay yourself, or taxes, or operational expenses of the business. That's different. I'm talking about just your sourcing budget for each month. So your budget is limited though, right? I mean, we don't have an infinite amount of capital. It would be great to say, I want to go buy $1,000 items and sell them for $10,000. And I'm going to sell several of them a month. That'd be great. But even just going to buy a bunch of $1,000 items would be expensive, right? But you probably, if you're thrifting or you're doing some sort of yard selling, garage selling, you probably can scrape together a few $100 in a lot of cases to buy, 50 items, 100 items, how many ever it is per month. I don't know what but you have some idea of that. But it's always going to be limited. So you need to understand what your limitation is in terms of how much you can spend in a given month, right? I mean, this just makes logical sense. I don't think I'm saying anything here that is too crazy of an idea. So you have to know how much you can spend in a given month. Number two, this is probably the one we're going to get in some meat and potatoes. I'm going to show you this calculator, because if you're going to sell an item that you've been buying for $5 and selling for 10, and now all of a sudden you're going to buy an item for $10 and sell it for 20, or maybe even more, you have to know how quickly will it sell through. And because that matters, because if you're going to sit on it longer and longer, then you're going to tie up that sourcing budget we just talked about, right? You can't, and I'm not saying that all higher price items necessarily take longer to sell, but in general, they take longer to sell. In general, not in every case. So you can expect maybe a slower time to sell them. But again, I'm not going to make a blanket statement that's always the case, because it's not. But in clothing, for instance, if I'm going to sell a $25 pair of jeans, I'm probably going to sell that quicker. There's more people in the market for that price point of jean than there is for a $100 pair. So just all things being equal, that tends to be how it goes. So what I thought I would do is I would show you guys a simple calculator that I designed to show you what this looks like. So let me pull that up and pull this, and we'll do a quick screen share. I'll show you guys what this looks like. So you see here, I've created just in Excel a very simple spreadsheet, and we've got a column over here, column A. We've got item A versus item B, and you could extend this on to like item C, item D, how many ever you want. But basically, what you do is you enter in certain amounts into these cells for what your business model is. So you can compare two things. So you see here, I have purchasing 10 of item A at a cost of $5 would require $50 in capital. So there's what your sourcing budget would need to be. And if you sell through 20% of those a month at a $20 sales price on average, you will have a gross revenue minus cost of goods of $30. So your $50 capital investment made a $30 gross margin there. Now, there's other expenses you have to take out of that, but I'm just showing this for example. Now, down here at item B, we see a purchasing $10 item example, which would require $100 in capital, also selling it through at 20%, but at a higher sales price of $40. It's the same ratio, but it's at a higher price, and grosses $60 revenue on $100 capital. Now, where this calculator gets interesting is when you start changing. So let's say this is your business model up here, right? You've been doing this. You've been buying $5 items. You've been buying 10 of them a month, spending $50, and you've been grossing about $30 on them after your cost of goods. So let's say that you decide to step up, and this month you want to purchase some $10 items, but let's say that you can only purchase 5 of them. So if we put that number in, we see how everything changes here. Now our gross revenue is still the same. Our capital would still be the same as well, but our sale price is still at 40 bucks. We would still only make $30. So this is kind of like the magic point you can see here where these two numbers match. So if you purchase 5 of this item and can maintain the same sell through at this price, you will gross exactly the same amount as you did at the $5 price point. But let's say that let's say that your sell through is slightly lower. Let's say it's 15%. Now we see that even though we spent the same amount of money, 50 bucks, because our sell through dropped, even though we had a higher price point, we only grossed $22.50 instead of the $30 we did up here. Does that mean you should go this route or this one? Well, that depends. It depends on lots of things. It depends on if you think that this, if these numbers are legitimate. By the way, this has got a double cost price here, like $5 per item you're buying them versus 10. That might not be the same. Let's say this is only $7. So now it's $7 at a 15% sell through. We gross $24.75. You know, or if we put our sell through percentage back up to 20, we can buy these items for $7. Now we see that we gross a little bit more than we did with the item with the 10 example up here. So having your items kind of like in this sort of calculator laid out really helps you see between two things. And we could put a 3 and 4 over here if we wanted to. Different strategies. Let's say, for instance, that you're selling jeans, like in my area, around $5. But let's say you want to start selling blazers. $7.50 here.
Yes.
So we'll put in $7.50. All right. And we're going to put in, let's say we only have $50 capital to spend, just like we did up here. So we notice we've only spent $37.50. Well, let's say we buy 8. Nope, it would be about 7. So we'll fudge it a little bit. So we're spending about the same amount of capital, right? $52.50 versus $50, and it's $7.50. Now, if our sell-through remains at 20%, and we can get $40 double on all those, which maybe is average for blazers, maybe not, we will actually gross more than we did in this example, which is kind of cool. But maybe we say our sale price is only going to be $35 on average. Now we're down to $38.50 in gross. And if we take it down to $30, that's about the point where these two coincide with each other. So this allows you to go in and change these numbers around. Like we could say, all right, we think we can sell blazers on average for 35 bucks, but our sell-through is only going to be 15%. Oh, that actually nets us a little bit less than in this example. Maybe that's not the way to go if we've only got 50 bucks a month to spend, right? It kind of all depends on, guys, what you can buy your items for, which is, you know, if you've got your capital budget, that's going to tell you how many you can purchase, what you think your sell-through percentage is, and you can figure this out from eBay. You can look at solds and completeds, and you can also figure out kind of what the average sale price is. So you can figure out using this little simple calculator very easily whether you should buy item A or item B, what makes more sense to you in your particular situation, your particular part of the country. So hopefully that was not too wonky of an example. So we'll come back here. And I love, you know, Karin and I, when we started talking about this topic, she said, you should make like a calculator or something so people can see it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Is that really that valuable? And then I thought, you know, I think that maybe that's a good idea. So it kind of reinforced in my brain too, you know, when you're thinking about maybe you want to look at jeans versus shoes, or you want to look at dress shirts versus dresses, or you want to look at jewelry versus blazers, you know, whatever it is, you can sort of do that sort of same math with a very, and that was a very simple spreadsheet. How long did it take me to do it? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe? And I just kind of threw it together off the top of my head. I was like, oh, well, it's just this and this and this, and Excel is really good at that. But I think that, like, if you really break down what you're buying, if you want to start selling higher price items, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do it, but you can compare that with what you've been doing to kind of figure out like what the money will look like. Because, you know, deciding what to source, because maybe you're torn, maybe you're sitting there and you're going, well, there's a lot of dress shirts for $4 in my area, and, you know, men's shirts and so on, and women's shirts, but I really like shoes as well. and maybe they sell for 2 different amounts, and you have certain different quantities available. You can now look at your sourcing budget and just decide, I'm going to go this direction or that. Or you can mix and match. You could say, I'm going to spend half of my sourcing budget on this item and half on that item. We're going to say something. I'm sorry.
No, and the calculator, and we're going to play with that calculator a little bit more actually, and make it a little bit more, I don't want to say user friendly, but
yeah, I'm going to try to make that available to you guys. Maybe I'll just put it on a Google Doc and people can get it.
Because there's so many different ways that we can use it. Like, and it's not meant as a discouragement. It's meant more as an enlightenment, right? So let's say you want to get into selling blazers, right?
Right.
And for us, that's a jump from say $5 to $7.50. So you can totally put in, well, how many blazers do I have the money to purchase? But how many do I have to sell to meet? And that's in here too.
Right.
Or exceed the level that I'm currently at. And that's, you know, that I think that's helpful, because you can't just, you know, when we do our comps, it's only, our comparisons are only as good as eBay will allow. And right now you can only look back 90 days.
Right.
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 And that's kind of subjective, those 90 days. So.
Yeah. I mean, it just gives you a snapshot of a quarter of a year.
Right.
But, and let me know in the chat too, guys, if you think having that little calculator will be useful. I could probably throw it on Google Sheets and just say, hey, go access it. And, you know, you can play around with it, make it whatever. I could probably add a couple of little simple things into it, like maybe your starting budget to be put in there. That would be pretty easy to do, actually.
Well, and you could allow for fees and taxes, and like we could actually bring
well, I don't want it becoming really a calculator.
Oh, good point.
Sales cut, because those are already out there, but there's not too many that allow you to compare like item A versus item B versus item C versus item D. Like maybe 4 items. So, and that would just be something that, you know, if you guys would like to see that, you know, me provide that, I think it would be kind of cool. And maybe, like I said, I could just throw that on the Google Docs.
Well, and it would be easy to put 4, because right now we had to make that jumbo size so that it would be visible.
Yeah, so it would be easier for you guys to see. Hopefully you guys were able to see that while we were displaying it. But the third thing I want to say about this too, guys, and this is probably one that I don't really always think about, but when we started talking about this show topic, I was like, you know, that kind of is true. If you're selling higher sales or higher priced items, all right, you need to be very accurate. You always need to be accurate, but you need to be very accurate with your photos and descriptions, because in general, human nature is, when we spend more money for something, we tend to expect a higher level of quality. We tend to, right? I mean, isn't that true? Like if you buy a more expensive car with more bells and whistles, you expect them to work. You expect them to be really good. And I think the same is true of what you sell on eBay. If you sell something for $5, you know, there are people who have a high expectation no matter what. But ultimately, people are not going to, you know, they're going to say, well, it's $5. Even if I'm out $5, it's not a huge end of the world deal. On the other hand, if it's $500, most people are going to say, this needs to be right, you know. And so I think that a lot of times we forget that, you know, when we try to sell something a little higher price, sometimes we get a little bit sloppy. I've been guilty of it before in the past, you know, not checking photos to make sure they're really clear. Really looking at the condition of the item to make sure that it's in good shape. Well,
I think you're opening yourself up to problems down the road. And I've been working on some research recently, and I've been going back and doing the comps on some brands and things. And he'll know when I find one, because I'll find something that sold for a high price. And to me, in this, what I'm looking up and stuff, anything over $100 is a high price. And you can hear me moan and groan. I'm like, look at this picture, it's blurry. Or if it's something where authentication occurs within a hologram or something specific on the label, either it's missing or it's blurry. I caution against that. And then there'll be the $5 item where somebody takes gorgeous pictures. And I wish that we knew, like, I wish that we could actually highlight I would love it. Like, not a sort of calling you out on the not good things that you do, but I would love it if we could like highlight somebody's listing, like that did well, you know, because I was looking up something the other day and I found like some kind of, I think it was a pair of jeans, and they were really, it was a good pair of jeans for a really low price. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, these people are losing money. But the low price, I looked through it, and the picture is what caught my eye, and it was a gorgeous picture.
Right.
You know, and so kudos to those people that we will never be able to call out here publicly. But it's
calling you out.
The point is, it's perceived value. And we talk a lot about how when we list things and when we sell things, we're doing it as if we were the shopper. Always put yourself in the viewing seat, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if it's going to be appealing to you, picture-wise, aesthetic-wise, spell it correct. I mean, all those things. I think you should do that.
No, I absolutely. I mean, people have high expectations of sellers anyway, but when price goes up, that really tends to be at a high level on, you know.
Perceived value is a real thing.
It is.
It's not just a river in Egypt. No, that's denial. Sorry.
So, but yeah, so I hope that you guys got something out of that. If you're going to start selling higher price items, there's just a few things you need to think about. We've sold some higher priced items, and they're tricky, you know, at times to sell. I sold something years ago. I sold for about $500 or $600, and there was some shipping issues, and it got damaged in shipment, just mainly because it was handled, you know. And at that time, I was kind of like, you know, that's not really my fault. But if I put myself in the buyer situation, it's not their fault either. So, you know, they're not packing it, and they're not the one shipping it. And we ended up making it right, but it, you know, it definitely hurt the cost, or hurt, you know, how much profit I made. Actually, I didn't make any profit on it because I bought it for a higher price and just needed to get rid of it. It wasn't for reselling, it was just for personal. But
is it a big secret what it was?
No, it was a piece of machinery.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple other things here. We're going to answer some viewer mail, by the way. I have some of those, and that'll be pretty cool, I hope. But let's talk about, I guess we could talk about Wednesday's show, right?
Yep. So do I have a nicotine habit?
No.
Do I drink to excess?
No.
And with regard to the whole cigarette thing, like, I'm not a smoker?
No.
All right, so we don't tend to blow smoke anywhere, literally or figuratively.
I didn't know where she was going with that.
Yeah, just stick with me, folks. So we got a bit of pushback from not only the title, but the beginning subject matter of the last video that we did. And seldom do we go back and try to do a little damage control. And I don't think that's what we're doing now. But I think maybe we have enough new subscribers that don't know the whole Prof sales Karin picture. We're going to shoot straight with you. We're not going to blow smoke up your you-know-what. And the biggie is we're certainly not going to do it for you. And it's very important that if, you know, I think I joked on Wednesday about, you know, one of the things we talk a lot and we kind of joke about with new resellers is if you're not able to connect your PayPal to your eBay account, maybe eBay's not going to be for you, right? So this is and I don't have my pom-poms today, but this is most definitely your place to be lifted up, motivated, and encouraged to do what you do. And we're not telling people to, you know, quit or give up or whatever. We want you to do your best. We want you to reach out and ask for help when you need it. But sometimes I think the point of Wednesday was it just might not be for you, especially if it's not making you happy, if it's not fulfilling you. You know, I left a really crummy corporate job a year ago because it was destroying me. I was bringing the ridiculousness home from that place.
Oh, but you failed, Karin, doing that.
Yeah, there was a part of me that felt I did at first, probably, but I didn't realize how unhappy and unfulfilled that was making me. And, you know, we talked too about just because you're good at it doesn't mean you need to keep doing it. And I was really good at what I did. I just wasn't appreciated.
It was the other parts of it. No, and you're exactly right. And, you know, for those of you who may not have saw, the show we did on Wednesday was about reasons why you might quit selling on eBay. And I think for whatever reason, in our society, we view quitting something as defeat, as a failure. And I guess there are probably times when maybe that's true. But I look at it like this. there are things out there that you are going to be very good at that you like or you don't like, and there's things out there that you're not going to be very good at that you like or you don't like. Why not choose something you're good at and you like? Because if you're not good at something and you like it, you can try to get better at it. But if you just can't, or it just doesn't fit for you, eventually you're not even going to like it anymore. So why not stop? On the other hand, if there's something you really dislike, but you're good at, why keep doing it if you're just going to have all this dislike? Eventually dislike turns into apathy, and apathy turns into less performance. So if eBay is not working out for you and you want to move on to something different, which I think is what we said several times in that video, that is success. That to me is winning. If you make the decision that one thing is not the right course for you and you go towards another thing that is, that's winning by any definition, I think. But I think for a lot of times we feel like we must be great at everything we do. Newsflash, you won't be. I'm not. No one ever is. You're not going to be great at most things you do in your life. That's just reality. You know, I would love to say I'm going to be a great NBA player. Not going to happen. I loved playing soccer when I was a kid. I was a decent player, but I wasn't going to be a great player for lots of reasons. Not because I quit, but just because life happened. It got pulled me in other directions. Those aren't failures. Those aren't negatives. And I'm not telling anyone how to live their life or how to do it differently. I'm just saying, look within yourself and make sure that whatever you're doing, eBay, Amazon, Craigslist, your job, a relationship, whatever, a friendship, whatever it is, and make sure it's fulfilling you. It's helping you. If that's not helping you or fulfilling you, then it's bringing you down, and chances are it's going to bring down the other people around you. So I don't think in any way what we did on Wednesday was suggesting that, you know, you're a failure or you're a quitter or anything like that. But it's just saying be realistic with yourself. I mean, I think that's always good advice. Am I crazy here, or just, you know, and I don't let it really get under my skin. It's just one of those things where I don't understand people's perception of everything has to be divided into winning and losing. It's not. That's just not the way the world really works. That's just kind of our fragile egos getting in the way of our better common sense, honestly. So I just think that, you know, you have to decide what you're going to say yes to and what you say no to. What you say no to is just as important as what you say yes to. It really is. So, you know, take from it what you want, but I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a timely topic. I appreciate the comments and feedback on it too.
Yeah. And it's about pivoting. It's about being able to pivot. And when you make a decision that you want to move on, that's one thing we did on our walk this morning. We did talk about this, is that if you quit one thing, have something else to start. Like, don't just quit and level off. It's important that you put your energy, your time, talent, treasure into something else. Don't let the moment of whatever change, pivot, failure, if that's how you're going to perceive it, but we're not going to let you dwell on that. Whatever it is, it's your evolution. It's whatever your next step is. So move on to something else.
Yes, I agree. So anyway, check out that video from Wednesday if you like. It's gotten a huge response, which I'm appreciative for. And I know we really didn't set out for it to be controversial, but I think in some ways it did. And if we didn't do the best job of explaining our take on the situation, then I apologize for that. We thought we did. It's possible, you know, we didn't. We can't always know how it's going to be perceived, but just wanted to clarify that that was what we really meant.
I'm still your e-commerce cheerleader, I promise.
Speaking of that, what do you got over there?
Show and tell. So every now and then I sneak in a little show and tell when he's not looking. And, you know, we had a meetup recently. And so I may or may not get personally involved in the shopping process, but there was at one point that Jason looked over and I think I had a lampshade on my hat. I may have had a lampshade on my head.
No, one time?
Was it a hat? I don't know. But so look, you guys, who's with me on this? It's not vintage or anything. I think it's whatever, but check it. Can they see it? AC/DC for my walking days. And so at one point he looked over, and I kid you not, like if there's like a Halloween costume or a shirt or a coat or something, I will literally put it on like right in the store. There we go. So this was me walking around in the
ACDC shirt.
Back in Black. Okay. So then the other thing that I found next door, and I only get like a minute for my show and tell, was every now and then I will go through, after we do shoes and jeans, I will go through and just kind of take a look at purses. You know, it's like a girl thing. It's whatever. And I found this little Fossil bag. Oh, can you see it? Maybe not.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so it's just a little black leather
Show
purse.
the front. I don't think I saw the front.
Oh, look. And I don't know a lot about these, but it's like a crossbody handbag. I don't think it's really, do you call it messenger? I don't know. I think the messenger ones are bigger, but it's awful darn sweet. And I paid for it with my own money. I didn't make the company buy it. But look, you can put all the credit card thingies in there. Anyway, the thought was, I'll either keep these or sell them. So there you go. So black leather purses, it's good.
I think we know which one's going to happen.
My money, my honey. Ooh. So it's worth it to sort of take a walk by with purses in particular. And every now and then I'll find something really cool in both. So there you go.
Yes.
I have really got to take this off now.
Okay.
So, okay, show and tell over.
All right. So if you guys have questions and so on or comments, please type the word question or 3 or 4 question marks in front of your question in the chat. And then, of course, if you've got a question for us after the show, leave it down below. We do try to answer all of them. We're actually going to answer a few. We're going to answer a few of those right now. We're going to do some screen shares and show you some comments that have come in for the last few days and just kind of what our thought was to it.
We're going to do that right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Let's do it.
All right. So first off, we have a comment here from Joan. And hang on, let's get this up.
I'm going to tell you what Joan says. And I have no idea what Joan sounds like, but I'm going to give my best. Joan says, I'm so glad you did a video on this. It's a problem for me, and I do have more than 15% sitting in the corner. I will get busy listing tomorrow. Thanks, guys, for the motivation. And I will bet that, oh, that's me in the Jean Mountain.
Yes. So we did a show recently on, what was that, last week or earlier this week?
Yeah.
About the death piles and so on. And so Joan found some motivation in that. And that's kind of what we try to be about here, honestly, guys. We try to help you find your motivation. I mean, we're not motivating you. We're just helping you connect with it maybe. And, you know, this idea that you have these death piles, you have this big, huge glop of merchandise you haven't listed. Somebody in our group said they had like only just a few items listed and about 1,000 items in their death pile. I think that might have been in our Facebook group. They showed pictures of it.
Our Facebook group, and then a couple of people in the chat, and I thought they were just joking.
No, and they showed the photos, but they started, you know, and that was what was great. They started making a dent, and you're just going to make a small dent. Like you're not going to list 1,000 items very quickly unless you've got a lot of help. So, you know, you're going to have to make you have to make peace with the idea that it's going to take you a while, and maybe your death pile is smaller than that, but you have to make peace with it as well. There's no reason to beat yourself up. So we're glad, Joan, you found your mojo to do that.
Well, and your death pile, we talked about, you know, defining our terms and either loving or hating them. And your death pile can either be your debt pile or your money mountain, right? It's how you perceive it and how you work it. And hopefully we got a lot of people thinking about how it's just money sitting over there. And I'm looking in the proverbial hypothetical corner over there, but it's money just sitting there. And you without not listing those things are leaving money in the corner of your house. All
right. So next up, we have a comment.
It's another girl.
Do you want me to read this or you want to read it?
You have to read it in a girl's voice.
No, I can't do that.
Okay. So Liz Wright says, the way Amazon is gating products, there won't be any room for 3P sellers. I don't even know what a 3P seller is.
Third party.
Oh, there you go.
Aren't you cute?
Apparently I do.
Bless your heart.
I thought maybe it was 3D or no, I'm just kidding. I know what a third-party seller is.
Yeah, and you know, thanks for the comment, Liz. It is possible that third-party sellers are getting pushed off of Amazon. I think there's some evidence to suggest that, but I can't prove it. Or just not even pushing them off, but making it much more difficult. So that just goes back to one of the things we've said on this channel all along. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You don't have to put them all in the eBay basket. You need to diversify out your revenue. You need to diversify where you have money coming in from, so that if something does dry up or change or get drastically harder or even goes away completely, then you have other ways to, you know, survive or even thrive. And Amazon may in fact be pushing out third-party sellers. And if so, you'd be wise to start investigating other methods like eBay or the other platforms that are out there, or even something totally different if you want. So I think it's always important to keep evolving, you know, where your money is coming in from. So thank you for that comment. Our last one we're going to share here. Carol, I believe.
Another woman. I'll have to be the voice of Carol as well. Carol Alexander says, thank you for sharing. eBay is not perfect, but it works for me. And that was the time to quit video. So see, Carol wasn't bumpy about that, was she?
No, not at all. And, you know, Carol, you hit the nail right on the head, because you said it works for you. That's key. Like, it's got to work for you. And what that means to everybody, we presented you guys with some criteria we thought made sense, but you may have your own criteria. And as long as it's meeting that, that's okay. Man, I tell you, like, life is not all about winning and losing. It really isn't. It's about finding some sense of contentment. And because when you gauge it as winning and losing, you're usually doing that based on somebody else's definition of winning and losing.
Oh, yeah, good point.
And you're never going to quite measure up to that, you know? So I just try to avoid it. I mean, I think it's great if you can win on eBay and do really well on it. I also think it's great if you can win as a real estate agent, if you can win being an accountant, if you can win as a police officer, if you can win being in the military.
Don't forget, win as a student. We have lots of students.
Right. But you don't have to win, quote unquote. You just have to find some sort of contentment, some sort of peace with it, something that fulfills you. And eBay might be it, but it's okay if it's not, you know, just like anything else is. And I think that was, again, it goes back to what we were trying to say in that video. You've got to find something there that works for you. And like, not only the nuts and bolts and maybe financially part, but the mental and emotional part of it too. Like, it's got to work in all those ways. You can't have this big deficiency in one area, because that will filter over into the other areas, and then those will get affected. So I thought that was important.
Things that make you go, So are we going back to questions in the chat?
Yeah, I probably missed one or two, but here was one from here.
Yeah, so Not Telling asks about, have you guys been back to the triangle to source? And first of all, Not Telling, you should join our Carolina Reseller Meetup Facebook group, because we are planning to go back to the triangle in as a big group February sometime, right?
Yes.
But that was our best, you know, we talk fondly of that 36-hour period.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
We got over 300 pair of jeans
in
36 hours. Loved it.
That was the most jeans in that time frame we've ever gotten. So that was great.
And we were still talking to each other afterwards.
Yeah, and it was not a great, you know, it's kind of what you make of it, right? Because it was not a great shopping experience. They did not take debit cards, the stores there. They only took cash or checks, very 1990-ish.
And you love the 1990s when it comes to
They had no music playing in the stores. They had no shopping carts in the stores.
That's
now
right.
Imagine trying to carry around 25 or 30 pair of jeans with no shopping carts.
I completely forgot that part.
No shopping carts. So, but yet we still were able to go there and just get a massive number of jeans, which helped our inventory. So, you know, it's what you make of it. And when we got there, we did not know that you couldn't use debit cards. We literally had to go to the bank and pull cash out.
And luckily we could, you know, that I guess I'm dating myself when I say it used to be back in the day, you can only take out like $200 at a time, right?
Right. Yeah. And so, you know, I mean, it was great. It was great quality stuff there. The prices were very good. I think it was like $353 it came out for jeans, a pair.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, that's a good price. You can source a lot of different brands and so on at $353 a pair, and still make, you know, I think good profit but you know, we could have just walked away. I mean, we were
tempted.
I mean, we had to drive 2+ hours to get there. It was not a quick trip. We stayed the night. But once we got there and started seeing that, we're like, this is some good stuff here. We need to just, we're going to make the best of this. 359 plus tax. Okay, there you go. I couldn't remember what I thought. I knew it was 350 something, but make the best of your situation. If you have a lot of shirts in your area for a cheap price, consider sourcing shirts. If you have a lot of jeans, consider sourcing jeans. If you have this item or that item at a low price and you think it'll sell through well, do that. That's adapting to your situation rather than trying to, be somewhere where something is really expensive or hard to find and you're never going to be very successful at it. Do what you can make work and fulfill you at the same time. I mean, I think that's always a good way to run your business.
Yes. And in the way back early, Adam said something about mastering the local stuff like Craigslist and the Facebook groups, maybe bulking up on some hard goods and selling it locally. And that sometimes we'll do that when we have a bunch of things to either get rid of at once in a lot, or if we want to pick something up, or if we just want to make some fast cash.
Yeah, we should do a video on that, like mastering the local scene, because full disclosure, I'm not as good at sourcing locally as I could be. And what I mean by that is not the thrift stores and so on, just like from the apps that are out there, the personal people selling things on Craigslist or OfferUp or, what's that other one? Next. It's not Next. Maybe it's Next. Next to Me or something like that. It's the one that's just like a neighborhood group, because I'm not very good at that. But honestly, to that point, there's a ton of stuff like that probably right in your backyard that you don't even know about, or you haven't taken the time to research, and it's there. It's there. You can get it, maybe even some new niches that you've never really gone into before. And you can go and, find some really profitable items and learn something new at the same time, which is always fun.
And speaking of cash, I was going to mention another of Sarah's comments earlier, but she said that she likes to take cash when sourcing because then she's got a finite, that's her bank. Like there's no
I like that.
Never-ending credit card balance there. You have cash, you have pile o money, pile o dough, you know what you have. But Sarah also mentioned earlier, and I'm going to bring it up because we talked about it on our walk, was that she's using Trello, I think, and having a good go of it. And we talked this morning about if the walks that we're now going on again are going to get checked off of the Trello list. And Jason said, yes, as a matter of fact.
We'll have to do some updates on that coming up in the near future, the Trello update. Yeah, we've been using it really, really efficiently for our needs. At least I have. She asked me this morning, you still use Trello? I'm like, I use it all the time. What are you talking about? And
well, disclosure. So the reason I asked is because you've tried many ways of list keeping and keeping tracking. And we've talked about, the list that's posted there or the one that was taped here or, and Trello, like we said, when we talked about it initially, it's really user-friendly. It's easy. It's adaptable and you love it. Yeah. So the fact that you're still sticking with it, that's great.
It's fit the need that, and sometimes it takes a while to go through those types of apps and programs. So you found the one that really works for you.
Hi, Chris.
Illinois says, or not Illinois, there's a question below that. Mystery said, mystery person. I like that. I was thinking about buying your spreadsheets or video on it. What kind of things does it track? There's a video that actually comes as part of the download, or it's a separate download, I believe, mystery person. And it walks you through it. And then what does it track? It tracks your inventory and it tracks your sales on eBay, Amazon, some different platforms and so on. And also shows you some metrics. It does basically like a monthly P&L statement, profit and loss statement as you go. So that's what it does.
Lindsay started using Troll too. No, I'm sorry. I had to read.
Troll.
I know it was supposed to be Trello, but I like that. Can you answer that question? I think the answer is yes, but is there a way to schedule reoccurring events on Trello?
That's a great question. So one of the power-ups I think does that, which the power-ups do require you to purchase a subscription. I want to say the subscription is maybe $10 a month. I actually do not have the subscription. I have the free version. So here's what I do, Lindsay, and maybe this will work for you, maybe it won't. You can copy any card to another board. That's very easy to do, but that's a little time consuming if it's a recurring one. So I've been setting up, like I set up a to-do list. I have my weekly to-do, which is what I look at every single day. But then I have a to-do list, which is I put the things in there that I guess for lack of a better term are going to come up pretty much all the time. And so then I kind of know what I need to schedule out each week and make sure is there. And I will just copy a card over to days where I need to do something. But there is a recurring power up you can get. I think there might even be a third-party app way to do it too, a way where you can go in and you can just sort of use that app to schedule something over and over. That is one of the parts about Trello that I wish was a little better, was their ability to schedule something recurring. And like I said, you can do it, but I'm pretty sure you have to buy the power up. Maybe somebody knows a different way to do it that doesn't require that. Hey, Chris has a question. How important is average selling price to you, and how often do you look at it? It's not as crazy important to me with only 2 major niches right now. The shoes, I don't really still have a great handle on, but I do look at that one every week. I wouldn't say every day necessarily, but every week at least. Jeans, I kind of know about where they're going to fall, and I kind of know what something's going to sell for anyway. So I do, but I do look at it pretty much every week as well, just to kind of see how it's tracking and see it over time, which I think is always interesting. You can see it each month and so on. But, you know, jeans is kind of one of those things now where I've kind of got a good feel for. I kind of know where it's going to fall out, or pretty close in any given month. It's not going to fluctuate much. The more data you get in there, you realize the more and more your average looks like a real average, and it's not just skewed by a few outliers one way or the other. That was a long answer, probably longer than it needed to be. Don't use troll me. What?
It's just funny because I'm always like giggling at things that I read, but I can't say them out loud. I just think that's funny.
Yeah, I know. That's funny. Well, we had 66 viewers today. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That's pretty good. But I hope you guys will go back and check out the beginning of this video where we talk about what things to think about with selling higher price items. And I think there's a lot of great info there in terms of what you should be thinking about. If you'd like to get that little calculator, let me know. Send me a message. I think I might just try to make that available somehow on Google Docs. You guys can check it out. So, all right, Karen. Well, I think that's going to do it.
This is Karen.
And this is Prof Sales
saying good sales to you.